The Resilience Gene. Chapter 1, The Awakening. The gentle hum of the station was a constant lullaby to Dr. Zara Khan. Days often blurred into a comforting routine. Wake up to the sunrise over the gas giant, a quick breakfast bar while reading genetics reports, hours poring over DNA sequences, a shared dinner with colleagues filled with debates on alien physiology. It was a solitary life, but Zara preferred it that way. Her passion for genetics, for the raw code that shaped every living being in this vast galaxy, fueled her days. She believed that understanding these genetic blueprints was the key to unlocking the secrets of life itself. The station was a marvel, a testament to the collaboration of the galactic community. Zara was surrounded by beings from 1,000 worlds, each with their own unique biology and culture. In the mess hall, one could find a six-limbed creature with shimmering skin, debating philosophy with a gruff, rock-like Gorm. Yet despite the diversity, tension simmered beneath the surface. The powerful Orion conglomerate, always vying for resources and influence, cast a shadow over the galaxy's peace. One day, the calm rhythm of the station was shattered. A warning siren blared, red lights flashing throughout the corridors. A massive cosmic storm, a rare and destructive phenomenon, was heading straight for them. The station shuddered under the impact, power flickering, alarms shrieking. Zara was thrown against a wall, a sharp pain piercing her side. As the storm raged, she could hear screams and the sounds of destruction echoing through the station. When the storm finally subsided, Zara found herself lying on the cold floor. Her vision blurred, a warm liquid pooling around her. She could barely breathe, a searing pain consuming her. Yet miraculously, she was alive. As she drifted in and out of consciousness, she felt a strange sensation, a tingling warmth spreading through her body. It was like a spark igniting within her, growing stronger with each passing moment. Days later, Zara awoke in the infirmary. She was weak, covered in bandages, but the pain was gone. The station doctor, a wizened Drev with kind eyes, explained that she had suffered severe internal injuries, the kind that should have been fatal. But somehow, against all odds, she had healed. As Zara listened, she recalled the strange sensation during the storm. Could it be related to her miraculous recovery? Driven by curiosity, Zara returned to her lab, her injuries forgotten. She delved into the station's genetic database, searching for answers. Hours turned into days as she tirelessly analyzed her own DNA. Then it appeared, a gene she had never seen before, activated and glowing brightly within her sequence. The resilience gene, a genetic anomaly, rumored to grant extraordinary healing abilities. But it was just a myth, wasn't it? As Zara stared at the screen, a wave of excitement washed over her. This was no myth. The resilience gene was real, and it was within her. The implications were staggering. This gene could revolutionize medicine, save countless lives, and perhaps even change the course of galactic history. But with such power came great responsibility, and Zara knew that her quiet life was about to change forever. Chapter 2. The Message in the Genes. Days after the storm, Zara was back on her feet, her wounds healed without a trace. Her colleagues looked at her with a mix of awe and bewilderment. "It's unheard of," Dr. Menon, the station's chief medical officer, had whispered, his voice filled with wonder. "Such rapid recovery, it defies all known medical understanding." Zara simply smiled, keeping the secret of the resilience gene close to her heart. Back in her lab, Zara delved deeper into the gene's structure, driven by an insatiable curiosity. As she analyzed the DNA sequence, she noticed something peculiar. Hidden within the complex code, like a whisper in a crowded room, was a message. It was a series of patterns, a sequence of symbols that seemed to hold a hidden meaning. Weeks turned into months as Zara worked tirelessly to decode the message. She consulted with linguists, cryptographers, and even a xenoarchaeologist, but the message remained elusive. Then one night, as she stared at the screen, bleary-eyed from exhaustion, the symbols finally clicked into place. It was a message from an ancient civilization, the progenitors, rumored to have seeded life throughout the galaxy. The message spoke of a grand design, a purpose for the resilience gene that went far beyond mere survival. It spoke of a coming threat, a darkness that would engulf the galaxy, and the resilience gene as the key to overcoming it. The message hinted at a hidden sanctuary, a place where the progenitors had left behind knowledge and technology that could help Zara understand and harness the full potential of the resilience gene. It spoke of a convergence, a time when the bearers of the gene would be called upon to fulfill their destiny. But the message was fragmented, incomplete, leaving Zara with more questions than answers. News of Zara's discovery spread throughout the station, reaching the ears of Commander Kale, the ruthless leader of the Orion conglomerate. Kale, always hungry for power and advantage, saw the resilience gene as a means to an end. He dispatched his soldiers to the station, ordering them to capture human subjects for experimentation. The resilience gene, Kale had sneered, his voice echoing through the communication channels, will be the key to our dominance. We will create an army of unstoppable soldiers, a force that will bend the galaxy to our will. Meanwhile, on a distant refugee planet, Samir Khan, Zara's younger brother, was tending to the sick and wounded. Samir, a compassionate doctor, had dedicated his life to helping others. He had fled the Orion conglomerate's oppressive rule, seeking refuge on this forgotten world. But Kale's reach was long, and his thirst for power insatiable. One day, as Samir was treating a young child with a fever, Kale's soldiers stormed the clinic, their weapons drawn. They seized Samir, dragging him away from his patients, his cries for help echoing through the desolate streets. News of Samir's abduction reached Zara, shattering her world. Her brother, her only family, was in the clutches of the Orion conglomerate. Fear and anger surged through her, but also a steely determination. She would not let Kale harm her brother. She would use the power of the resilience gene, the gift from the progenitors, to rescue Samir and stop Kale's mad quest for power. Zara knew she couldn't do it alone. She needed help, allies who shared her values and understood the stakes. She turned to her colleagues, the scientists and researchers who had become her friends. Together, they formed a secret alliance, united by a common purpose. They would use their knowledge, their skills, and the power of the resilience gene to fight back against the Orion conglomerate and protect the galaxy from the coming darkness. Chapter 3. The Race Against Time. Zara's mind raced, fueled by a potent mix of fear and determination. Time was running out for Samir. Every moment he spent in Kale's clutches increased the risk of irreversible harm. She knew she had to act swiftly, decisively, and with a cunning that belied her gentle nature. First, she needed a ship, a fast one that could outrun Kale's forces. That's where Finn came in. A grizzled, one-eyed Gorn with a penchant for risky ventures, Finn was the best pilot on the station, if a bit of a scoundrel. "Need a lift, Doc?" Finn had asked, a mischievous glint in his single eye. "Somewhere far away and dangerous, I reckon?" Zara had explained the situation, omitting the details about the resilience gene. Finn, ever the opportunist, agreed to help, seeing a chance for both profit and a good story to tell over drinks. Next, they needed someone who knew Kale's operation from the inside. That's where Anya entered the picture. A former Orion soldier, Anya had defected after witnessing Kale's cruelty firsthand. She had a score to settle and a conscience to appease. "Kale's fortress is a maze," Anya had warned, her voice hardened by experience. "But I know its secrets. I can get you in." The journey to Kale's fortress was a blur of hyperspace jumps and tense silences. Zara spent the time studying Anya's stolen datapads, memorizing schematics and guard rotations. Finn, ever the showman, regaled them with tales of his daring escapades, his gruff voice filling the cockpit. Upon arrival, they disguised themselves as Orion merchants, their faces hidden behind holographic masks. Anya led the way, her movements swift and silent as she navigated the fortress's labyrinthine corridors. They passed through security checkpoints, avoided patrols, and finally reached the research labs. The sight that greeted them was horrifying. Captured humans, their bodies twisted and contorted, lay strapped to tables, their eyes filled with terror. Orion scientists, their faces masked by respirators, injected them with strange serums. their laughter echoing through the sterile chambers. Zara's heart pounded with rage as she witnessed the grotesque experiments, the desecration of the resilience gene. They found Samir in a secluded cell, his body ravaged by the corrupted gene. His skin was pale and clammy, his eyes vacant. He barely recognized Zara, his voice a hoarse whisper. "Sister, help me," he pleaded, his words barely audible. Zara's heart ached with grief and anger. She vowed to save him, no matter the cost. Their escape was a desperate dash through the fortress, alarms blaring, laser fire whizzing past their heads. Zara's resilience gene kicked in, her body moving with superhuman speed and agility. She dodged blaster bolts, leapt over obstacles, and fought back against Kale's soldiers with a ferocity that surprised even herself. Finn, true to his reputation, piloted their ship through a hail of enemy fire, his expert maneuvering keeping them one step ahead of Kale's pursuit. Anya, her face grim with determination, provided cover fire, her shots finding their mark with deadly accuracy. As they escaped Kale's fortress, Zara held Samir close, her heart filled with a mixture of relief and sorrow. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The corrupted resilience gene still coursed through Samir's veins, a ticking time bomb that threatened his life. Zara knew she had to find a way to heal him, to undo the damage Kale had inflicted. The fate of her brother, and perhaps the entire galaxy, rested in her hands. Chapter 4. The Ancient Echoes. Back on the station, Zara worked tirelessly in her lab, her eyes fixed on the holographic displays that danced with genetic data. Samir lay in the medical bay, his condition stable but uncertain. The corrupted resilience gene pulsed within him, a ticking time bomb threatening to consume him. Zara's heart ached with every shallow breath he took, every tremor that racked his weakened body. The message from the progenitors echoed in her mind, a constant reminder of the stakes. "The convergence is upon us," the message had warned. "The bearers of the resilience gene must unite to face the coming darkness." But how? How could she neutralize the corrupted gene, heal Samir, and prepare for a threat she barely understood? Zara pored over ancient texts, consulted with xenogeneticists, and even sought the wisdom of a reclusive Drev elder known for his knowledge of ancient prophecies. Slowly, a plan began to form, a daring gamble that could either save Samir and the other victims or doom them all. The key, Zara realized, lay in the very nature of the resilience gene. The gene was not just a tool for survival, it was a bridge, a connection to the progenitors and their vast knowledge. The corrupted gene was like a distorted echo, a scrambled signal that needed to be realigned. Zara began to develop a serum, a complex cocktail of genetic modifiers and nanites designed to target and neutralize the corrupted gene. She worked day and night, her hands steady, her mind focused. Every failed experiment, every setback only fueled her determination. As she delved deeper into the progenitor's message, a hidden layer emerged, a series of coordinates pointing to a location deep within the Andromeda galaxy. A sanctuary, the message called it, a place where the progenitors had left behind knowledge and technology that could help Zara in her quest. Zara shared her findings with Finn and Anya, her trusted allies. "A sanctuary?" Finn had asked, his eye widening with excitement. "Sounds like a treasure trove, Doc. Let's go plunder it." Anya, more cautious, had voiced her concerns. "We don't know what we'll find there. It could be dangerous." Zara, however, was undeterred. She knew that the answers she sought lay within that sanctuary. With Finn at the helm and Anya by her side, they set off on a new adventure, a journey that would take them to the heart of the progenitor's legacy. Within the sanctuary, they found wonders beyond their wildest dreams. The progenitors had left behind advanced medical technology, gene editing tools far superior to anything Zara had ever seen. They discovered ancient archives filled with knowledge about the resilience gene, its origins, its purpose, and the coming threat. Zara learned that the darkness mentioned in the message was a cosmic entity, a being of immense power that fed on the life force of stars. The progenitors had fought against it eons ago, but at a great cost. They had created the resilience gene as a last hope, a weapon to be wielded by their descendants against the encroaching darkness. The convergence, Zara realized, was not just a meeting of individuals with the resilience gene, it was a call to arms, a rallying cry for all those who stood against the coming darkness. And she, Zara Khan, an unassuming geneticist from a research station, was at the heart of it all. Chapter 5. The Guardian's Awakening. Armed with the progenitor's knowledge and advanced technology, Zara felt a newfound confidence. The fragmented pieces of the puzzle were coming together, revealing a grand tapestry woven through time and space. She returned to the station, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and dread. It was time to confront Kale, to put an end to his reign of terror and reclaim the resilience gene for its true purpose. Zara, Finn, and Anya devised a plan, a daring gambit that relied on stealth, cunning, and the element of surprise. They infiltrated Kale's fortress once more, this time not as fugitives, but as liberators. As they made their way through the fortress, they encountered pockets of resistance. Orion's soldiers loyal to Kale, but the tide was turning. News of Zara's discoveries had spread, igniting a spark of hope in the hearts of the oppressed. Some of Kale's own soldiers, disillusioned by his cruelty and ambition, switched sides, joining Zara's cause. The final showdown with Kale took place in his command center, a cavernous chamber filled with holographic displays and blinking lights. Kale, his face contorted with rage, stood before them, his personal guard forming a protective circle around him. "You cannot stop me," Kale snarled, his voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics. "The resilience gene is mine. It will make me invincible." Zara met his gaze, her eyes filled with a quiet determination. "The resilience gene does not belong to you, Kale," she said, her voice clear and resolute. "It is a gift, a responsibility, and you have abused it." The battle that ensued was fierce and chaotic. Blaster fire filled the air, the stench of ozone mixing with the metallic tang of blood. Finn, his trusty blaster spitting bolts of energy, held off Kale's guards, while Anya, her movements a blur of precision and grace, disabled the fortress's security systems. Zara faced Kale alone, the progenitor's technology humming in her hands. She activated the device, a shimmering orb that pulsed with a radiant energy. The corrupted resilience gene within Kale's body reacted violently, the unstable energy surging out of control. Kale screamed in agony as his body contorted, his flesh bubbling and blistering. In a blinding flash of light, he vanished, consumed by the very power he sought to control. With Kale's defeat, a wave of relief washed over the fortress. The remaining Orion soldiers surrendered, their will to fight broken. The captured humans, freed from their torment, were treated with the progenitor's advanced medical technology, their bodies slowly healing from the damage inflicted by the corrupted gene. As Zara watched the survivors emerge from the medical bay, she felt a surge of warmth within her, a tingling sensation that spread throughout her body. The resilience gene within her was reacting to the presence of others like her, their combined energy creating a resonance that echoed across the galaxy. Suddenly a voice filled her mind, a chorus of ancient voices speaking in unison. "Welcome, Guardians," the voices said, their tone filled with wisdom and warmth. "Your time has come. The darkness approaches, but you are not alone. We are with you always." Zara looked around, her eyes meeting those of Finn and Anya. They too had heard the voices, their faces etched with a mixture of awe and understanding. The resilience gene was more than just a survival mechanism. It was a beacon, a call to unite the scattered descendants of the progenitors and prepare for the coming storm. Zara knew that their journey was far from over. The threat of the cosmic entity still loomed large, casting a shadow over the galaxy. But she also knew that they were not alone. The Ancient Ones were watching over them, guiding them towards their destiny as guardians of the galaxy. Chapter 6, A New Hope. The awakening of the Guardians rippled across the galaxy, a beacon of hope igniting in the hearts of countless beings. From the bustling metropolis of Newterra to the remote mining colonies on the fringes of Orion space, individuals awakened to their dormant powers, their connection to the ancient progenitors surging through their veins. Zara watched in awe as a diverse array of beings arrived at the station. A stoic quirk warrior, his 6 arms adorned with intricate tattoos, shared stories of his people's ancient battles against the darkness. A Drev healer, her eyes glowing with an ethereal light, demonstrated her ability to mend wounds and soothe troubled minds. A young human pilot, his face etched with determination, recounted his daring escape from an Orion slave camp. The station transformed into a bustling hub of activity, a melting pot of cultures and ideas. Workshops buzzed with the sounds of invention as scientists and engineers collaborated on new technologies. Training grounds echoed with the clash of weapons and the shouts of warriors honing their skills. Medical bays hummed with the gentle whir of healing devices as doctors and nurses tended to the injured and infirm. Zara found herself drawn to a group of young guardians, their powers still raw and untamed. They gathered in a secluded corner of the station, their faces etched with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Zara shared her knowledge of the resilience gene, explaining its history, its purpose, and the challenges they would face. "We are the inheritors of a great legacy," Zara told them, her voice filled with warmth and encouragement. "We have the power to shape the future, to protect our galaxy from the darkness. But we must learn to control our powers, to harness them for good." The young guardians listened intently, their eyes fixed on Zara's face. They saw in her a leader, a mentor, a beacon of hope in a galaxy teetering on the brink of chaos. Meanwhile, Finn and Anya worked tirelessly to rally support from across the galaxy. They reached out to diplomats, politicians, and military leaders, urging them to unite against the common threat. They forged alliances with rebel factions, pirate fleets, and even disgruntled members of the Orion conglomerate. News of the Guardians' growing strength reached the ears of the Orion High Command, who saw them as a threat to their power and control. They dispatched fleets of warships, their hulls bristling with weapons, to quell the growing rebellion. The Guardians, however, were prepared. They had established a network of hidden bases, secret training camps, and covert communication channels. They used their knowledge of the galaxy's hidden pathways and forgotten shortcuts to outmaneuver and outsmart the Orion forces. In a series of daring raids, the Guardians struck at key Orion installations, disrupting their supply lines, sabotaging their weapons factories, and rescuing captured prisoners. They became a symbol of hope for the oppressed, a beacon of defiance against the tyranny of the Orion conglomerate. As the conflict escalated, Zara and her allies delved deeper into the progenitor's ancient archives, seeking clues about the nature of the cosmic entity and how to defeat it. They discovered ancient prophecies that spoke of a final battle, a clash between light and darkness that would determine the fate of the galaxy. The Guardians knew that their time was running out. The cosmic entity was drawing closer, its malevolent energy casting a shadow over the stars. But they were not afraid. They were united, determined, and ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The story ends on a note of hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of unity. The Guardians, a diverse group of individuals from across the galaxy, stand together, ready to face the unknown. Their journey will be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but they are armed with the knowledge of the ancients, the power of the resilience gene, and the unwavering belief in their own strength. The fate of the galaxy rests in their hands, and they will not fail.